Hey, welcome to Byrontology. I'm Byron Lane. I have two books in bookstores, two Emmy Awards on my bookshelf, and one testicle in my pants. We're going to get into all of it because that's what we do at Byrontology. We believe what Carrie Fisher used to teach me, and that's radical honesty, that's taking a broken heart and making art, that's getting into the grit of life and trying to make sense of the absurd and the awful and the everyday. Today, 5 years married, and something is off. Today, we're going to get into my marriage. I'm married to New York Times bestselling author Stephen Rowley. He wrote Lily and the Octopus, The Guncle, The Celebrants. He's got a new book coming out called Take Me With You, which is inspired by a fight that he and I often have about what would happen to us as a couple if a UFO landed in our backyard. I'll have to do a whole nother podcast and write a whole nother essay about that. Today, Stephen and I are about to celebrate 5 years of a happy marriage. I think. I'm not sure about the word marriage. We're going to get into that. But really what I'm not sure about is 5 years. I'm not great with math. Stephen knows all the dates and the times and the seasons, and he'll be like, "Do you remember a year ago tonight we were eating at this restaurant, or 3 years ago we were watching this movie?" And I'm like, I didn't even know we ate at that restaurant. I've never even heard of that movie. I'm not good with that stuff. I'm not good with directions. I'm not good with seasons. I'm not really great with names, especially of famous people. And I'm not good at turning off the fan in our bedroom when we wake up in the morning. No one's perfect. Here's the thing, my marriage doesn't look like what other marriages look like on TV and in movies. And now that we're about to hit 5 years, I think, I'm wondering what that's all about. Why does my marriage with Stephen look so different? And why does the word marriage feel so scratchy, so itchy? I guess this starts with how I got into this relationship with this guy. Pretty much, I was working for Carrie Fisher, and we were traveling all over the world together. She would get a text alert that meteorologists said that the northern lights were going to be incredible over Canada that weekend, and she'd call me up and be like, "Book tickets, we're going to Canada." So my life was kind of hectic. There wasn't really a lot of time for a relationship, and there really wasn't even time for dating. So what I would do is when we were in Los Angeles, I was a serial dater. I would hop on OkCupid, message guys, message guys, message guys. Now this was I worked for her starting in 2011. So this was really before all the apps. I think Grindr existed, but it was still mysterious. So I was on OkCupid, and I would message guys on OkCupid, and I'd go on all these dates, and they were mostly um, boring. I mean, I did make some great friends, and I did have some meaningful relationships. I'm friends with almost all my exes to this day, but most of those relationships were really just 2 weeks. They would last 2 weeks, and then I would get bored. Now, my therapist, she challenged this feeling, and she had some thoughts about this idea that I needed something to keep me entertained. She said that boredom is not an emotion. She said boredom is avoiding emotion. So I don't know about that. I just knew that I would go on these dates and something was missing. And she would say, "Well, do you want a clown or do you want a boyfriend?" And maybe I wanted a clown. Maybe I wanted a clown. So finally, I messaged this guy, Steven. He's at the time he's working as a paralegal. I was working for Carrie, but I also had dreams of being a writer and an actor. So the idea that I would date someone in the legal profession was very appealing, to have a sort of steady hand while I did all my artsy fartsy things. Um, and he's very handsome, and his profile was already entertaining. I was already not bored just reading his profile that talked about his life and a dog named Lily that had just died and how he was managing all that and the antics at his job. And one of my first messages to him was, are you a writer? Because, I can tell your profile is so well written. It's so funny. It's so charming. And when it came time for us to meet, typical Byron, I didn't want to put too much effort into it. That morning, I had gone to walk around shopping area in Santa Monica, and normally I would try to shower or whatever before I go on a date, and we were just gonna have Starbucks at the farmers market. So I was like, I don't care anymore. All these guys are disappointments. I've messaged guys before who had, sort of interesting profiles and it never worked out. And so I'm going to meet this guy and I'm like, I'm not showering. I'm not changing my clothes. I'm just going to be sweaty. Who cares anymore? So I live close to farmers market and I walked over there and uh, I remember him rounding the corner, and here's this tall, handsome guy, charming, lovely. He was wearing yellow pants, so he had some character, you know what I mean? And this was in 2013. So right off the bat, we're laughing. Right off the bat, we're making jokes about the word grundle. We're sending each other stupid dog videos and giggling. um, he has the greatest little giggle, the greatest little laugh. It's infectious. And we just really started having this great time. And he was also caring. Even at that first little meeting at Starbucks, we actually met at the Starbucks and I was like, you know what? I'm not feeling coffee. What if we go get pinkberry yogurt? And so I'm calling it yogurt. I think it's made with goat milk. And so there's some controversy about whether it's yogurt or powder. I don't know. Don't sue me, Pinkberry. Are they even open? No one knows anymore. This is all alleged. We go to Pinkberry, we have some of their product, and and he's a caring guy. And I go back to my therapist, and I'm like, that thing about do I want a clown or a boyfriend? I found both, and we kept it going. Fortunately, we lived near each other in Los Angeles. Sometimes, if you don't live within a certain radius, it all falls apart. It's ridiculous. There's no way traffic allows people to fall in love in Los Angeles if there is distance between them. So we lived close. Things were going great. He's charming. He's funny. He's kind. He's clown material. He's boyfriend material. And then I'm gonna mess it up. I think to myself, I had a long day. I had a long day, and I wanted to stay in. I had a small studio apartment and I just wanted to close all the doors and be in my little tiny space and watch TV and eat ice cream and be alone. I recharge my batteries by myself. I think I'm an introvert. Steven thinks I'm a lazy extrovert. That's another fight we have. But on this night, I just couldn't do it. I just didn't want to hang out. And we had a date. So I've been in this position before and I've reached out to guys and I've said, hey, I know we have a date, but I'm exhausted. I'm fragile. I need to take a nap for 16 hours until tomorrow. So I can't hang out. And then usually I get broken up with. Usually these guys think I'm a flake or they get fussy and it just is a disruption. And I was ready for that with Steven. So I call him, hey, look, I'm exhausted. Can we go out another night? And he says to me, no problem. I'm here to make your life better, not more stressful. Okay. So that little phrase changed my whole life. His little moment of grace. Um, I was like, come over right now. Come eat this ice cream with me. Come cuddle. There was something about just having the pressure off that made him the more made his made the boyfriend material of his essence shine. A person who's caring, who's respectful, who's trusting that we'll go out another time. It feels like right after that I moved in. Right after that, he and I lived together. He had a 2 bedroom and I had this little teeny tiny studio. Now, don't think I didn't try to get him into my little teeny tiny studio. I was like, I know we're lovers, but we could get bunk beds. We'd have, we'd save so much money. Anyway, he's an adult and he was like, I'm not going to live in bunk beds and I'm not going to live in a studio apartment. Come move in with me. Anyway, so we move in together uh, and it feels like years sort of melted away there. And one of the things that kept us going, I think, one of the beautiful things that we were able to share is we both wanted a career as an artist. We both wanted to be artists. Steve was working in the legal profession, but that was a survival job. He was just making his money that way, and we both wanted to be creative. Neither of us knew exactly what that meant. Steve had written screenplays, I was writing plays, I was writing pilots. I didn't know what was going on, but we would spend our evenings writing together. We would read each other's work and we would say, "This is great, keep going, keep going." When one of us suffered some kind of rejection, someone, an agent didn't want to represent us, or a studio said that the screenplay wasn't good enough, the other one would say, "No, no, no, they're wrong. Keep going!" Exclamation point, exclamation point. And this was fuel. This was comfort. This was a journey. This was something we could build together, this idea of a career. And so it was almost like a family of me, Stephen, and our artistic projects. And this was the family that we were going to raise. This was our plan together. At that point, I wasn't really thinking 10 years ahead. I did have a bad habit in relationships of thinking, am I going to still like this guy in 10 years? And my therapist said to me, are you going to like him tomorrow? Are you going to like him in an hour? And there was something about Stephen that dissolved the 10-year thing. And I did just want another hour. Let's just stay up one more hour and work. Let's just spend another hour together on the weekends. There was a hunger for building this kind of investing in this family that we were building with each other. I also had the issue of his family, and I wanted them to like me. I wanted his family to like me so bad, and I was nervous about that. I consider myself kind of quirky. Do I tell weird jokes? Does my hair look weird? Good enough for you and your family? What are they going to think? And then at one point, I kind of joked with him. I was like, "Well, what if they make fun of my clothes? What if they think that I'm the clown in the relationship? You're the clown in the relationship. What if they think I'm the clown?" And he said, "No, no, they definitely think you're the clown, and that's what they love about you." Now, I thought I was quirky, but I didn't think I was the clown. I kind of thought Steven was the funny clown. And I hear this and I smile. And now, as I look back on it, I imagine myself smiling, my big clown smile, and it matched his. And so there we were, two clowns in a family raising screenplays and stage plays, and as it would turn out, books. When I look back at all of this now, it's wild how the art did make us whole. It was the pursuit of the art really made it feel like a family with purpose. And Steven sold his first book, Lily and the Octopus, and it was born out of him showing me some pages and then me saying, keep going, and him working all hours of the night while he still had his survival job. Um, no easy task. Everyone who's a writer who's doing that knows how hard it is to balance all that. And he sold his book, and that opened a world for us. And we ended up we moved to Palm Springs, California. We got a house out here. Um, I'm cutting out a lot of stuff. I'm cutting out that I went through cancer. I'm cutting out the play that I wrote. I'm fast forwarding through writing my own novel about my time with Carrie Fisher called A Star is Bored. And because the important thing is how we got to this 5 year mark. We got married out here in Palm Springs in a little house. It was the middle of COVID, and it was this house that had not been touched since the 1960s. And we thought, this is perfect. And there's a little part of us that was like, should we wait until COVID passes so we can invite all of our families to come out here? And then we were very quickly like, actually, COVID's a great reason to not spend a lot of money on getting everyone out here and throwing big parties and all that stuff. Let's have a nice quiet wedding. And so my good friend Erin was our officiant, and it was just Erin marrying me and Stephen, and it was a beautiful service 5 years ago, I think. Stephen would know exactly. And when I look back at it, even when I say the word marriage, I still bump on that. It still feels like something is off calling it marriage because it doesn't feel like that word captures what we have. It feels too small to capture all the art that we've made together and separately together. You know what I mean? That word feels too small to capture the home we built with our dogs, Raindrop and Shirley, and now having adopted my mom's dog, Belle. It feels too small for the fun little things that we created in our lives, like at night going outside and watching these birds called nighthawks eat bugs. The nighthawks circle our pool and they eat bugs. There's a little gopher that lives in the backyard that we named Wellington. We check on Wellington. And there are the relationship things too, like Steve can't load the dishwasher correctly, but we have things we fall back on. And the big thing is our laughter. That's still here. We got into it recently because I ordered some soap that's supposed to be coconut scented, and the whole house stunk. It was, I guess, coconutty, but anyway, we had a little tiff about that, and then they all resolve in this sort of acid of laughter. It just dissolves the problems. We both feel really lucky that humor is such a big part of our family. Humor along with the art, along with the dogs, along with the Nighthawks, along with Wellington, Raindrop, Shirley, Belle, all of it. And at the end of the day, really, I'm still in the same position I was way back when I first met Stephen, which is I just want another hour. Let's just take one more hour. Let's walk a little bit longer. Let's talk a little bit more. And I feel, how can a writer admit that a word like marriage can capture all that? Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to Byrontology. Byrontology is home to stories you feel. I'm talking about all this stuff in this video and on this podcast, but really I'm a writer. So I wrote all this. And this post is actually a very special one because I wrote it all in postcards. You can see all of that at byrontology.com. You can see all the stories I've written. I've written things about Carrie Fisher and Burning Man and my testicular cancer. There's also a bookstore at byrontology.com. I wrote a free Byron book that you can get. It's a digital version. You can order the hard copy too if you want, but it's a digital version called Everything is Stupid. Okay, fine, I'll keep going. And that really explains the origins of Byrontology and how we got here and paths I try to take to stop overthinking and to calm my existential exhaustion. So it's all at byrontology.com. See you next time.